Welcome back to The Critique. Today we're diving into a really fascinating piece on the biology of the zebra, specifically tackling why they can't be domesticated and what the science is behind their stripes.
Yeah, this material is fantastic. I mean, the level of research is exceptional. But I think we've identified a few key structural opportunities that could really elevate the narrative.
Absolutely. Let's start with the big picture. The piece has these two, very strong but separate ideas.
Right. You've got capture myopathy explaining the domestication issue on one hand.
And the anti-parasite function of the stripes on the other.
But they don't quite connect.
Exactly. It feels like we're missing this single, overarching thesis, that the zebra's entire biology is a product of its uniquely intense African environment.
The capture myopathy, the stripes, as necessary survival tools forged in this high predation world full of lions and hyenas.
Which immediately sets up a really powerful evolutionary story.
It does. And then you can use the Eurasian horses and donkeys as the perfect contrast.
Because they lost those intense predators. They experienced what researchers call relaxed selection.
Right. The pressure was off. So they could afford to lose some of that physiological baggage that makes the zebra so difficult to handle.
Okay, so let's make that link concrete. How do we explicitly tie predation to something like capture myopathy?
Well, when you introduce CM, you preface it. You say that this extreme vulnerability, this physiological response,
is a direct result of needing these insane anti-predator behaviors.
Precisely. It's a stress response that's dialed up so high for escaping a lion that it becomes lethal when a human tries to handle them.
So it's not just that they're skittish, their bodies are literally hardwired for a level of panic that causes their own muscles to break down.
It's an evolutionary trade-off, right? Survive the predator today, even if it makes you fundamentally brittle.
And we do the same thing for the stripes.
Yes. The stripes stop the flies that spread disease. And why is avoiding disease so critical for a zebra?
Because in that environment, any sign of weakness, a limp, an infection, makes you the first one a lion picks off.
Exactly. The stripes aren't just for decoration. They're essential armor in a place where you have to be at 100% health all the time.
That connection is so powerful. It unifies the entire piece.
It really does. Now let's talk about that domestication barrier itself, because the material has the right answer. It's just
the placement.
The placement, yeah.
It spends a lot of time up front dismissing older theories before it gets to the really groundbreaking stuff.
Right, and the weakness there is that the most compelling piece of evidence, the statistical model showing capture myopathy is the only significant barrier, comes in way too late.
You lose that big aha moment.
You do. I mean, that finding is the headline. The model showed things like herd structure, diet, body size. None of them were the real obstacle. It was just CM.
So the suggestion is to lead with it. Just bring it front and center.
Use CM as the fatal flaw. It's like that Anna Karenina principle,
Right, where every domesticatable animal succeeds in the same ways.
But the zebra is non-domesticable in its own unique fatal way. And that way is capture myopathy. It's their physiological Achilles heel.
Okay, so for a concrete example, we could resequence it to start with that statistical result. And then how do we really hammer the point home?
You draw a much sharper contrast. So on one side, you have domesticated horses. We have found the actual genes, like ZFPM1, that are linked to them being calm.
They've literally been bred for a lack of fear.
Exactly. And you contrast that genetic calmness with the clinical reality for a zebra.
Where capture leads to paralysis, muscle damage, even cardiac arrest. It's not behavior, it's a complete physiological collapse.
A lethal panic. And you can even bring in the deep evolutionary timeline. Mention that CM evolved in African equids, but was then lost in the Eurasian ones when they left that high predation zone.
That's a perfect bookend. It makes the entire argument physiological, not just temperamental. Which leads us to the third point, right? Sharpening the stripe explanation.
Yes, the author does a great job debunking the old theories. Thermoregulation, camouflage, all that.
But then the explanation of how the stripes actually work gets a bit stuck in the weeds.
Yeah, it leans on technical terms like aliasing or aperture effect, which, the research itself was actually inconclusive on or even rejected.
It's just unnecessary complexity.
It is. The suggestion is to streamline it. Focus only on the two things that were statistically proven to work: high contrast and small patch size.
And build that metaphor of the fly's visual switch.
That's the key. The fly sees a big, dark animal from a distance and thinks lunch.
A nice, easy target.
But as it gets closer for the final approach, the pattern has to disrupt that visual system. It has to make it unlandable.
Okay, so let's start with contrast. We could use the actual data here, right?
Definitely. The study showed that coats with low contrast got the most flies, and landings went down by, 1.2% for every tiny increase in that contrast measurement.
That's a really clear data-driven point. High contrast messes with the flies.
But the second part is even more visual, I think, the size of the dark patches.
Right. The thin stripes are effective because they get rid of any large, solid, dark areas.
Which is what a fly's visual system is programmed to look for. And there's a hard number here that's just perfect for illustration.
The 12.25 square centimeters.
Yes. Flies are averse to landing on dark patches smaller than that. The zebra's pattern breaks its whole body up into dark units that are just below that critical size.
It's like an optical denial of service attack?
That's a great way to put it. The pattern is just too fine for the fly to resolve a landing spot up close. It's brilliant.
And that's where you can bring in that detail about zebras being black-skinned animals with white stripes. It reinforces the whole idea.
Exactly. The black skin is the attractive target, and the white stripes are the active defense that breaks it up.
This is the source material is really outstanding. The listener has all the right information. It's just a matter of optimizing the structure to get the most impact.
It really is. These changes will help the reader see the zebra not just as a stubborn horse with stripes, but as this perfectly tuned survival machine.
Okay, so to sum up the 3 key actionable suggestions. First, integrate capture myopathy and the stripes under the single evolutionary umbrella of high predation pressure.
Right, using the Eurasian equids as that crucial point of contrast.
Second, bring that capture myopathy finding right to the front. Lead with the statistical evidence showing it's a definitive barrier to domestication.
And make that contrast between genetic calmness in horses and lethal physiological panic in zebras really sharp.
And third, simplify the stripe mechanism. Focus only on the proven science, high contrast, and the avoidance of large, monochrome, dark patches, using that 12.25 square centimeter number to make it visual.
Yep. Focusing on those 3 big picture changes will make this already excellent piece even more compelling and clear.
We look forward to receiving your revised material for the next critique.